Hi, this is Kathy Clausen. Welcome to my happy place. Today, what I want to do is show you how to use a tack with your Spin-e-Fex templates. Each of our Spin-e-Fex templates has a little hole down here, and you'll see it's the same on every template. And what that does is it allows us to make a 2-inch circle in the center of our design. This is a 2-inch circle. So when you're practicing, I think it's a good idea to go ahead and stitch that 2-inch circle in just while you're practicing. You don't have to do it after you get kind of get the rhythm for this template. It's not difficult. Working with the 2-inch circle in the center can give amazing results. I hope you like what I have planned for you. I have 8 crosshairs. I have my vertical and my horizontal, and those I number 1, 3, 5, and 7. My diagonal ones I number 2, 4, 6, and 8. So what we're going to do is I think I'll put this on here and go ahead and stitch it just to give you a real good visual of how I use this when I'm practicing how to do the pin on the Spin-e-Fex templates. Let's go ahead and pull that thread up. I'm just going to do one quick rotation. There we go. Make sure my vertical and horizontal lines are nicely centered. Remember, when we're using a curved template, what we want to do is make the stitch a little smaller. What that will do is make our curves look smoother. So here we go. I love this. And we are back to reference line number 1. I'm going to go ahead and take this off now. And I am going to trim off that thread because it doesn't need to be laying there in our way. Here we go. And now I'll go ahead and put my foot down. I'm going to start with with Spin-e-Fex number 1. It's a very nice oval Spin-e-Fex. It comes, like all of our Spin-e-Fex do, in a 3.5, 5.5, 7.5, 9.5, and 11.5 inch size. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, obviously, is make my oval right after I find my presser foot. Okay, here we go. What I find works best for me when I'm ruler or template quilting is to relax and enjoy it. Don't rush through the process. Take your time. And again, I'm using a smaller stitch here, probably smaller than I normally do. And my needle is down. So now what I want to do is I want to move my needle from reference line number 1 over to reference line number 2. My template doesn't want me to do that. I don't intend to take the template out to move it either because that would be kind of pointless. So what I'm going to do is I am going to let the foot move my template as I move my fabric. And when my needle comes at number 2, reference line number 2, straighten that template out and put another rotation in. Again, you do not need to put the 2-inch simple circle in the center. I did that for demonstration purposes only. However, if you want to while you're practicing, I don't think it's a bad idea either. It's entirely up to you. Okay, back onto reference line number 2 and needle down. And I'm going to, again, nice and slow and very easy. Stop now on reference line number 3. One of the nice things about having this tack is if you want a smaller size rotation, such as this, but you want it in a larger place, by putting the tack on, you're filling up more property, as I like to call it, or more real estate. One more, there we go. We made it to reference line number 4. And while this does take a moment or two longer than just using your regular Spin-e-Fex without the tack, the effect is so worth it. It's breathtaking. And needle down. Oops. And I didn't have my needle all the way down. This is why a needle up, needle down function is nice. My machine does not have that availability. Again, you'll notice how I slow down and take my time coming to each new reference line. Okay, so now we've got reference line number 5. If you want to do this with 16 reference lines, you certainly can. It would just make the design even more intricate. You could do it with 32 as well. The difference would be that you're not traveling as far between reference lines. Oh, one more. There we go. Okay. This is reference line number 6. There we go. 2 more, and we will have this design, or this part of the design, done. I have something else to show you after we get this part done, okay? Here we go. Again, this is Spin-e-Fex number 1. I'm using the 7.5-inch size. And over to reference line number 8. There we go. And now we're going to stitch back to reference line number 1. Because remember, we put the 2-inch simple circle in here for demonstration. You won't have that, so you're going to need to close up this circle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come all the way over to reference line number 2. Okay, make sure my needle is down securely. I'm going to take the dip off, And I have also brought out Spin-e-Fex 5, and this is the 5.5 inch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip that in. There we go. Whoops, I got my tape messed up a little bit. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get that one out of the way. Now I'm going to line this up on reference line number 2. What you're going to notice is that I am within my 1/4 inch right here. So the sides of this design are going to touch the outside of the previous rotation, but they're not going to go outside of it. And it looks like it might, but it really doesn't. I'm not going to do this embellishment on every one, but I want you to see that you can not only use one Spin-e-Fex, but you can use several together. That was reference line 3, so now we're going to go to number 4. Need to stop and reposition my hands. There we go. Make sure I'm totally lined up. Use your spacing gauge. Check on that. It looks perfect. Now, even though this is a little bit of a straighter template, I still like to make my stitches match the stitches that I used on the reference line number 1. So I'm keeping everything just a little bit shorter. There we go. Now we'll go over to 6. Passing 5 and on to 6. Now I've got to tell you, the first time I tried doing this on the pin, it took me a little practice, but it was well worth it. There we go. Then over to number 8. Line it up again. Just going to double check with my spacing gauge. Beautiful. And down for our last rotation. Okay, so now we know we're not going to put another one of this Spin-e-Fex 5 in the first rotation we made. However, whoops, I should have had my needle down, sorry. However, what I want to make sure that I do is I want to make sure that even though I don't need to, I'm going to stitch to reference line number 1. And the reason being is because I have got the same number of stitching rows now on each part of this rotation. So we'll go ahead, we'll remove that template, and here we go. There it is. There is our Spin-e-Fex 1 on the pin with Spin-e-Fex 5 embedded in it. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this little demonstration. I hope you'll try it. I think that the Spin-e-Fex, this just adds another level of design opportunities for us. So happy quilting, and until we meet again, let's quilt.